like, I'm sorry, if you kick your kid out because they're gay, you're an like, there's no gray area for that for me. There's just not. Like, I want to have compassion. I want to not judge. Okay, I'm working on it, God. But that's how I feel.
Really? Let's go, beautiful. We'll make this work. All right. Welcome, everybody. We are back today with Parent with Purpose with a newfound friend, Jill. She is an amazing woman who's actually got quite an amazing story. And I am thrilled to have her on the show today. We're going to talk mainly today about gay, lesbian, bisexual, and transgender, because we both have somebody in our family that is in that community. So we're going to be talking a bit about that. But first, Jill, I want to welcome you to the show. Thank you for being here with us today. So we're going to actually segue into the community that both you and I have in common on. And one of the things that kind of drew us together, Jill, is we are women of a religious background, and we have children that actually are from the lesbian gay community. And my son is gay, and yours is
transgender.
Let's talk a little bit about this. Let's talk about our side of this, and then let's talk about our kids, okay? Because we have other parents out there that are going to be going through this that have some kind of a religious background or a moral code that they feel, you know what, this isn't right. My kid shouldn't be this. I don't agree with this. And it doesn't even necessarily have to be in this. That's the most prevalent, and there's a whole community around that now. But there are other things as well. I remember my daughter growing up, and, you know, she used to lie, and I'm going, no, I can't have a child who lies. No, lying is right. So I like to say this is to me just another thing like that is just a bigger thing, because I truly raised my daughter not to lie. You know, I also raised my children that heterosexual was correct. And now I end up with a son who's actually gay and was scared to death to come out and tell us. Number one, because of our religious background. Number two, because he didn't want to disappoint me. And number three, he thought it was going to destroy our relationship. What was the reason your son didn't come and say anything, or at what age? So tell me your story of how that all went about for you and what your thoughts were and how he handled all this.
Yeah, so religion was definitely in our lives. And in our lives, I think religion, we kind of go through waves like we do in anything else in life. So there were times in our lives where we would go at church or meetings or something 3 days a week. Mm-hmm. And there were times that, you know, my husband and I were super involved. We have taught classes. We have, you know, taken care of babies. We have helped with retreats. We've done whatever. At the same time, we've been like knocking on the door like, hey, we need therapy. Like, definitely a base, a place that was respected, and a place that was home and was family. And so, and our children felt the same way. My family kind of jokes that I'm a gypsy. I've moved a lot, but that wherever we were, that was kind of like, okay, now we need to find a church. Mm. And we would test and we would go and, oh, we're not going to fit there. Because to me, it was just as equally as important that the kids were involved. Yes. I don't find a church where they have to come and sit with me and then we leave and I have to bribe them with cookies to go. Like, that doesn't make sense. Mm-hmm. We're all finding our connections, and those end up being their friends, and they're begging to go to camp and to retreats, and it's fun. So that's kind of where our family was. At the same time, I've always been lots of fun. And you got to have a few gay friends if you're lots of fun. Like, it's just like, it was never shamed in our household. There was never a time that we were like, oh, you know, that person's gay, or, oh, did you hear what happened? Like, you know, I mean, you might talk a little bit like, oh, so-and-so's gay, especially when you run into different situations, but it wasn't shamed.
Right.
It didn't make it any less terrifying. So my child, and I'm just going to kind of put this out there, Christine was the name given at birth. His name has been legally changed to Charlie. However, the moment Christine came home from the hospital and my two other daughters saw their little sister, they said, she's little like a Beanie Baby. So I don't care if the birth certificate says Christine or Charlie, my son's Beanie. So I just kind of put that out there because for most of this, I'll be referring to Beanie. And I like to kind of say that's what it is. So people are like, well, what about the names? They're such a big deal with transgender. They are. We changed the name. Like that was like a no-brainer, something easy to do. So Beanie came to me. Beanie was always just, mamas know. People say mamas know, and I just think mamas know. Beanie was just my oddball. Just, you know, my little girl that had these long flowing blonde hair and curls at the end, and I'd put in dresses, and then I'd find outside in the mud, and I'm like, what are you doing? And then as puberty came, Beanie just didn't fit. I could tell she was awkward, and I was like, oh, she's going to grow into things. And it didn't help that, you know, I mean, I'm sure every mother thinks this, but that Beanie had two older sisters that are just stunning. And so just finding this awkward stage and trying to go through life. I get a letter when Beanie's 13 that says I'm gay. And I think it's important for most parents to know, because parents love to say, see, they didn't even know what they want. She thought she was a lesbian, he thought he was gay, and now they're saying I'm transgender or this and that. Your child is trying to tell you they were born in the brain, the factory got messed up, okay? The soul and body matching, they got like out of line up in heaven and got sent down wrong. Like, this isn't an easy thing to say, and especially when you have a parent who prays before they go to bed at night. So they know, whether you're at home shaming or not shaming people being gay, they know that it's not the norm for their lifestyle. So I first get this letter that I'm gay. I don't want to talk about it. You forget who your mom was? Like, you might be gay, but I'm still the same person. Like, we talk about everything. So I'm like right in her room, like, okay, let's talk, you're lesbian. That's where we started. And it actually ended with her, you know, being just relieved. I'm like, I get it. You also have all these other weird things that you're dealing with. Okay, so girlfriends can't stay the night anymore, because how do you determine a friend or a girlfriend? And I'm not trusting the 13-year-old to tell me whether, because I know at 13, 14, 16, you weren't going to trust me to say, oh, no, we're just friends. So it's hard because they feel like they're still being punished, but you're like, dude, I'm shutting down the booty factory. Like, that's not happening. So it's such a weird, you're dealing with all these other weird things. And at the same time, Sean and I are just like, what do we do? And we knew more than anything else that I wanted Beanie to be comfortable at home. I wasn't going to take away life. Like getting caught kissing on the couch or going on a date or having a school dance or all the normal loving things. What am I going to say to my child? Well, because you have a different preference, which I don't exactly agree with. I don't know where my head is on this. I don't know what Jesus is telling me. You need to not bring that around the house. And don't talk about it in front of your sisters, because if you talk to them about it, then you're just going to wipe your gay all over them.
We do that, unfortunately, especially my generation. I'm a little bit older than you, and especially when we were raised. That is precisely what we do. Even though we don't mean to, that is precisely what we do.
Absolutely. And the thing is, a little bit earlier, we were talking about the outside world affecting our children.
Yeah.
Well, this is a way that I like to kind of flip that and say, let the outside, like your children, hello, we're here. Like, we are here. We are not everywhere that I want to be having a transgender child, but we're here. Mm-hmm. There is marriage, there are families, like this isn't going away. Even if you like took away the ability for marriages to be recognized, you backed all that up, you still have families where the nucleus family is 2 moms, 2 dads, and a set of kids. This isn't going away. Sean and I decided, we were like, it's just our way of life. Now, everybody does it differently. For us, we were just like, we're not going to sit down the three little ones, who at the time the youngest was, I think, 3 or 4, we're not going to sit them down and say, okay, let's open the world to you. We're just going to not hide it. Like, we're just going to, Beanie can be who Beanie is. And so girlfriends came, and normal life, normal teen life. And I remember one time, my daughter, who's now 12, she was sitting at the table, and Beanie had stopped by. Now, this happened over a 2-year period, from 13 to 15. So it's not like next week we're still 13 years old. I mean, we're talking about we're going into high school. Beanie's still lesbian. However, even though being lesbian, still dressed more masculine, was always comfortable in that, wanted to cut the hair. I was just thinking the word I was using, because it was my generation, was butch. That's not exactly a good word to be using, but that was what was in my head. Oh, Beanie must be butch. Like, of course, flannels and jeans. I was just like going to think one way, because that's what my mind could wrap itself around. And so Hagen was sitting there one day and just looks at my oldest and goes, so Beanie likes other girls the way boys like girls? So she just goes, yeah. And Hagen just goes, okay. That's it. That was it. Yeah. Because we hadn't taught hate. And that's the thing that I think people have to get. You also have to teach hate. People aren't born with it. And so we hadn't taught acceptance, but we hadn't taught hate. We want to back it up and bring in religion. We weren't taught to teach hate. For my religion, like, I don't know where you're going to church, but for my religion, we're not taught to hate. And I still, somebody please show me, like, I've been shown all sorts of scripture back and forth, but somebody show me that I want the part where Jesus teaches hate.
It's on the well beside Mary Magdalene, and she's a prostitute.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Where's the part where he says, get out of here, you're bad, I'm not touching your feet. If you're religious, then you believe God knows of every strand of hair. God knows of this, God knows of that. And everybody loves to say, he doesn't make mistakes. You're right. But he made a transgender child. And so if it's not a mistake, it must be a lesson for you. So are you taking it? That's my thing. I agree. He doesn't, my son is not a mistake, and neither is yours. Right. And my son is not defying God. God knew all his days before he took his first step. Mm-hmm. So he knew this day. Mm-hmm. And I just think that people get caught up in, well, you're just going off of God's. You sat down and had a meeting with Jesus, and he told you, dude, my dad didn't plan this. Your kid's off the path. Get back over here. It's just not how it works, at least in my mind. Everybody's mind said, I have to say, we lost our church. That's hard for me to talk about. He lost his summer camp. He lost his best friends. He lost his second home. And people now, because my son's like, hey, what's up on the faggot? Like, my son is just, my ex-husband is like, why does Beanie have to just like lead with the gay foot? There is nobody mistakes my transgender son that he used to be a woman. Nobody thinks that. Everybody thinks he's a flamboyantly gay male. That's what my son looks like. He's like, so, like, it's just who he is. My ex, like I said, he's asked, like, why does Beanie have to lead with, like, this gay foot? Like, he'd be more accepting if it was not just, like, thrown in everybody's faces. And I'm like, because when Beanie came out, we stayed by him. And a handful of friends did. And my extended family has accepted him always. But he lost the religious family, which had been so much there. I don't get it. I'm sorry, I'm not going to try to get fired up. Don't be judgmental. I don't get how you're given the choice. The child that was given to you by God, or the building in which you were worshiping, and you say, yeah, I must have made a mistake, I failed there. Bye. I don't get it. And we weren't asked to leave. But Beanie was no longer comfortable, and Beanie was confronted in a very loving way. And it was very clear that it was like, let's love you through this so you can get better. And there's nothing wrong with him. So we chose to leave, but there was no choice. My son My child, that's my responsibility. That was my gift. I'm not going to take that. Religion is so about, take care of the gifts that you're given and you'll be given more and da da da. I believe that you don't mess up and you gave me this and you knew what you were giving me, but I don't want it. Like, Beanie came out as transgender at 15. Literally, I remember knocking on the door and kicking the door open. I'm like, hey, yeah, you think you're trans? And his face just went. And I was like, what? And he was like, why are you saying that? And I said, because you've been kind of talking about being gender fluid, but you're never female. You're never female. You never put on panties. You never wear a dress. You're not female. And he just, just the relief. Just the thank you. He didn't know how to. The next day was like, dude, can we throw out all this girl clothes? Can we go shopping? We've had massive therapy. We've been through it. We've been through it. And it's been a huge learning curve for me because I had to understand the difference between sexuality and gender.
Yeah.
That was really hard. And I think it's important. I happen to have a child who was born female, is male, and likes females. So as a grown man, understand, here's your girlfriend that you love and you want to get married one day. And you were born female and you want a male's body and you want to have surgery and you want your name changed. I get that. For some parents, it's literally, no, I'm male. I was born female, I'm in a male's body, I want to be a male, and I want to be with men. And then they're like, wait, are you gay or not? Well, you're not gay, you're transgender, it's totally different. Mm-hmm. So if you have a child who comes to you being transgender, it's too much to get into in one thing, but I'm just saying read, absorb, YouTube transition, I don't care what the doctors are saying. Go on, find the freakiest transgender person that you can see on the internet and listen to them. Listen, there are tons of young adults who have gone through transition and they recorded the whole thing and did vlogs every week or every month with their shots and talked about their, listen to these kids. And the suicide rate is ridiculous because they're not loved, because they're put out, because they already feel awful and horrible and it's hard to get through. Beanie tells me, I'm the one person everybody hates. If you're religious, you hate me. If you're gay, you hate me. Believe it or not, sometimes transgender individuals are not accepted by certain people in the gay community. And I'm not singling out the gay community. That's just life. There's some white women who are not nice, and I happen to be a nice white woman. Doesn't mean anything. It's life. He's like, straight people hate me, gay people hate me, religious people hate me, non-religious people hate me. He's like, it's just I'm the one thing everybody can hate. And we've dealt with deep issues in that. And that's with supportive parents. And Beanie's come to me before and been put in a hospital. I'm going to hurt myself. I'm there. The idea that a parent could turn away a child and not only turn them away, but be their first bully.
Yes.
Is just devastating to me. And for that reason, I have had kids under my roof, graduated from my house instead of their own because they were turned out of their home. And I've had a child who had that happen. She wasn't even gay. She was actually straight. Her and my son had kind of a confusing relationship, but she wasn't attracted to Beanie because he used to be a girl. She was attracted to the young man that he is. And is in a heterosexual relationship now. And for her parents, that was just to even be friends with someone like that was unacceptable. And was basically given the choice at 18 of get the heck out or stop being friends with people like that. And so she came to live with me. I can imagine that it was hard for this family.
Yes.
But it's difficult, but it's not being there for my child is not an option.
So I have a question here because part of this is going to be a generational thing and part of this could be the religion that because we may not even have the same religion. I said to him, you know what? I love you regardless. You're my son. It doesn't matter to me. I mean, my if I have a child who lies a lot, I still love her. If I have a child who steals a lot, I still love her. It doesn't matter. He said, but Mom, you're calling what I'm doing wrong, and I don't think it's wrong. He said, I want you just to accept me for who I am. I said, I do. He said, yes, but you think it's wrong. And I can't disagree with him. I do think it's wrong. It was the way I was raised, and I do feel that that is wrong. I don't think he's a mistake in any way, shape, or form. Whatever his journey is and whatever it is that he's here for, and a big part of it is to teach me, that's for darn sure, because I had my head stuck up my butt in naive city plus in all of this. And it was like, I was that judgmental person up there going, well, look at that. Like, look at that. What did they do wrong with that child? That child is doing this or doing that or doing that, right? And that's the reason why the title of my book was I Was a Perfect Parent, and then I had kids. Because I was that person who stood there and judged.
Yeah.
I'm in a situation where I have to sit there and go, well, look at this. Now, what do I do with this? And is he wrong? Am I wrong? And because the religion does play a huge part in it for me. It did for him too. And he struggled with this. And he said, Mom, I've prayed so much that this would be taken away from me. And I sit there and I go, okay, first of all, I felt really bad that he felt he had to do that. If this is, and if I'm wrong, and this is, I still believe that, how do we actually make babies if we don't have male with female and make babies? So biologically, that already becomes an issue for me. But my daughter, and he says to me, your daughter is born diabetic. She didn't ask to be diabetic. She's diabetic. She could die because she's diabetic. He goes, how is this any different? And I didn't have an answer. I don't have an answer because you're born with it. I'm not sure if you are or not. I've done as much study. I've gone online. I've read. I've looked. I've seen. I know about the suicide rate. I know the suicide rate is mostly because of how we're making them feel. Not necessarily because they're gay, they're suicidal. It's because they're being bullied that they're suicidal. Because most suicides happens because of bullying.
Yes.
For whatever reason, they're being bullied. And this happens to be the reason they're being bullied. So I sit here and I listen to you, and you seem to have more of a handle on that than I do, because I still sit here and go, I love him to pieces, and my door will never, ever be shut to any of my kids for any reason, unless they hurt. When my son was going through his drug addict, and he was hurting my younger son, I said, you either stop hurting him or you need to leave, because this isn't his problem, it's yours.
Yeah.
That's the only time. But the minute he was to ask for forgiveness or say, Mom, I can fix this, can I come back home? Absolutely, come back home. My door's not closed. No matter what it is they choose in life. I've gotten myself off that pedestal I was on, thinking that my way is the only way and I'm right, because I know that's not true anymore. But you seem to have a handle on the whole concept of this not being a mistake. There's nothing wrong with this. So help us, older people or other people, religious people, help us understand how you got there. Like what processed in your brain or what was said that made you get it.
For me, it's this, and it's really this. The first part is kind of hard. I can't teach it because it's an innate part of who I am, that I believe that this is not an acting out thing. There's no part of me that believes that someone would choose this. This is something that's going on within them on a molecular, created by who they are. No difference than hair color. It's who they are, what their skin is, what they are. And the second thing is I did a thing with myself, and I've done it time and time again, at times when I don't understand, or I don't this, or I don't that, which is this. Imagine for a second if I told you that it was wrong to be with your husband and you needed to lie with a woman. Imagine that. Really imagine that. And you can see the look on my face. I don't want to. I'm not talking about live together. No, I'm talking about lie with, have sex, touch in the same intimate ways, and be touched by. Mm-hmm. How does that make you feel in your core? That's exactly how they feel being with someone of the opposite sex. You really want them to do that? Or do you want them to feel the beauty of love? Their love's different. I get it. It's hard. Like, it makes me emotional. It's hard. But that's who they are. That's who they are. So unless you want to hook up in Kansas and have a date with me, you can't expect him to do it either. There's no way I could explain or even understand the mysteries of creation. Take religion out of it. Maybe I'm totally wrong being a religious mom, and it is evolution and the Big Bang and whatever. Okay, maybe I'm wrong. That's fine. I do have to kind of say on a sidebar, I always joke around because my mom is not religious. She's spiritual. And I tease her. I'm like, because she's like, why can't you see things my way? I'm like, because if I'm wrong, it's fine. We're all tree food. We're off into the spirit sky. But if you're wrong and I go your way, I'm screwed. So just let me do my thing. Totally out of it. For whatever reason, whatever the mystical reason is of creation, I really, really believe in the core of who I am. Like, that's what it is. Could you do that? Could you change who you are? Can your daughter will her blood sugar to be normal? There's just things we can't explain why they are, but they are. Right. And if we can understand that, your daughter's diabetic, I'm highly allergic. I can't understand why, but I need you to respect that I am. To switch from, this isn't a behavior. I really like where your son went, because that's what it is. This isn't, I love you despite that you lied. I love you despite that you stole. I love you despite that you've done drugs. I love you despite the fact that you bite your nails, you don't eat meat, you, like, those are choices. You know, I love you in spite of your behavior. To, I love you in spite of your health. My mom loves me despite the fact that I'm allergic. Moms love their kids despite the fact that they have a peanut allergy and they have to run around behind. I'm talking about real peanut allergies. I know people want to get all crazy about that, but I'm like, you know what? Why don't you let your kid go into anaphylactic shock and have a discussion with me afterwards? Like, real allergies. Like, I love you in spite of that. I love you in spite of the fact that I have a child that had seizures growing up. What am I going to say? Get up off the floor, knock it off? When it comes to health, and I really think that that's where sexuality, gender, whether they are transgender, bisexual, gay, lesbian, any of those things, I really think that that's where it needs to go. This is a health thing. You're not going to unswitch their brain. And I don't mean a sickness. I don't want somebody to hear this and categorize it there, but it's a biological thing. It's how they're built for whatever reason. And like I said, like, go into yourself and have that discussion. Could I be different? And what if I had to be different for my family to love me? What if I had to lay with a woman for my family to love me, and marry a woman and raise kids with a woman? So what would I choose? My family and a life without that, with family love, but without that love that marriage brings, family brings. There's a connection you have with your husband that nobody on earth can touch. Hello talk, you know, or family. What if I had to choose? And the thing is, for those of us who are in a healthy marriage, I actually know what I choose, and it's not my mom. And I love my mother more than probably most people. Like, my mom is one of my best friends on the whole planet. But I choose my husband. Like, I could go on, but I really feel like that's it. Put yourself in that way and think about it like it's biologically who they are. So you can choose. If you have asthma, I'm not going to love you because you're kind of a defect. Come on now.
So to wrap this up, Jill, because honestly, I don't know that there's much more we can say about this, because it really does actually come down to black and white. We've given it a ton of grays, but it really is black and white. The black and white is this child is your child. You gave birth to this child. Whether it's a health defect, which we don't really want to say that because we don't want them feeling like they have a defect per se, or whether or not it is a mind game, or whether or not, you know, we can say something and flick the switch. However it is we think about this, especially if it's our children who have it, but across the board, we are still their mom, number one. And we are there to love them and help them through their journey. And their journey isn't going to be anything like our journey. Their journey is going to be full of a whole bunch of different ups and downs than ours. And it's not our job to judge them. It's our job to be there, love them, and support them.
Absolutely.
And I think with that, we're going to say goodbye, because that was a mouthful and a brainful. And what we want to do is actually encourage parents out there, educate themselves.
Yes.
Find out, talk to more people, go on YouTube, go to doctors, educate yourself so that you're not hindering your child anymore and causing a huge chance of suicide because of things we inadvertently say because of what we're thinking, because we're thinking wrong. And
you've said that, and that's kind of what I want to close with. A lot of parents, when they go through this, whether or not religion's involved, they seek guidance. They get a therapist for their child or themselves. They go to their clergy and seek guidance there. I would also encourage you to go one other step. Get a therapist and or an appointment with a doctor with someone who specializes in transgender or gay and lesbian issues. They exist. And just go to a couple sessions, because that really helped Sean and I to fully understand from a medical aspect and a therapist aspect of someone who deals with this on a way bigger scale than we do, what's happening. And so it really helped us to have all our normal points of where we needed help, but to also listen to points from people who are educated in that way. So that would kind of be my closing recommendation, is seek help from all the places you can get it.
That's actually great advice. That's one thing I didn't do, in all honesty. So maybe that might have made my transition a little bit easier in all of this. But Jill, I really want to thank you. It has been such an honor. And either through the talk show again in the future or not, we're staying in touch, my friend.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, Jill.